When Steve Jobs took the stage of Macworld San Francisco in January of 2003, there was a gap in Apple's lineup that desperately needed to be filled.
To start the year with, and boy, are we going to start the year here at Macworld today.
At the time, the G3 range of iBooks was becoming long in the tooth. While they were targeted towards affordability and portability, they felt cheap and lacked the power that many Mac users demanded. On the other hand, the G4 line of titanium PowerBooks and Power Macs had plenty of power for professionals, but were much larger, heavier, and more expensive. At the time, Apple was certain that laptops were the future.
We believe that someday notebooks are going to even outsell desktops.
Thus, they devised an ambitious plan to draw users away from desktops and into notebooks. This started with the 17-inch PowerBook. However, if they were to truly cover all of their bases with their notebook lineup, they needed something in the middle. Something with desktop power, laptop portability, and a mid-range price point.
There is one more thing. It's one more small thing. We decided to apply that technology to something a little smaller, which is this. Yeah, a new 12-inch PowerBook.
The 12-inch PowerBook allowed more people to access professional-level performance in a tiny package. It ported a powerful G4 processor from the PowerBook line that was only marginally slowed to 867 MHz and subtracted L3 cache. This was a crazy amount of power for what was, at the time,
the smallest full-featured notebook in the world.
The new book, affectionately known as Little Al because of its small size and aluminum construction, also introduced double data rate RAM, which allows data to be converted to memory much faster, as well as Apple's Velocity engine that accelerated data-heavy applications such as Final Cut and the Adobe Suite. At its release, Little Al was a revolutionary step towards combining power and portability. Not only was Apple going to bridge the power gap between laptops and desktops, they were also going to make mid-range consumer-grade laptops more like the heavier, expensive ones. In January 2003, you could buy Apple's cheapest iBook for $1,000, or $1,375 in today's dollars. This was definitely a consumer-grade device. It didn't have powerful pretensions. If you wanted a more powerful notebook for photo or video editing, you needed to spend $2,300 to get a PowerBook G4 Titanium. That's $3,150 in today's money. This was a huge price rift in the lineup. Imagine if Apple only sold the MacBook Air and a Core i9 15-inch MacBook Pro for $3,000. That is an absolutely massive price gap. The 12-inch PowerBook filled this space incredibly well, coming in at $1,799, or a little bit over $2,500 in today's money. Now, that's not cheap by any means in modern-day terms, but at the time, it was a pretty good middle ground between the consumer-grade iBook and the professional PowerBook. This made the 12-inch PowerBook an instant hit. It flew off the shelves as journalists and semi-pros who lived on the road and on their laptops snatched them up faster than Apple could produce them. Shipping delays lasted for months as these little books proved what Apple thought about the laptop market. Portability with a punch was the way to go. In addition to being a great fit for the market, it had comparatively very few compromises given its diminutive form factor. It features an 867 MHz PowerPC GeForce 7455, came with a 40 GB hard drive and 256 MB of RAM that came soldered to the motherboard, but could be expanded to 640 MB thanks to an unpopulated RAM slot under a nice little hatch. The 12-inch 1024x768 TFT display was powered by a GeForce 4 420 Go with 32 MB of SDRAM. Despite its popularity and fantastic specifications for the time, The concept of a 12-inch Apple laptop was short-lived. In 2006, the PowerBook G4 and iBook converged into the new entry-level MacBook, which was a 13-inch polycarbonate device positioned mainly as a budget option. The 15 and 17-inch PowerBooks then gave way to the MacBook Pro line, and suddenly Apple found itself in the same pickle it had been in back in 2003. There was a lower-end consumer-grade laptop and two larger, expensive Pro machines, with nothing in the middle. In 2008, Apple tried to get back on top of its ultra-portable game with the MacBook Air. The MacBook Air was supposed to be the middle ground solution between the MacBook and the MacBook Pro. It even had the same price tag as the 12-inch PowerBook at $1799. But instead of offering a portable yet powerful middle ground, the MacBook Air was only a portable device. As much as it revolutionized thin and light laptops, it sacrificed almost all of its performance to do so. It was actually much more limited than the MacBook. If you ask me, the true successor to the 12-inch aluminum PowerBook G4 didn't come around until 2009, the 13-inch MacBook Pro. There's a lot of similar DNA here. It basically took the 15-inch unibody MacBook Pro and shrunk it down somewhat with somewhat scaled back processors, graphics, and the same basic design. You can see the similarities in the two devices, but the 13-inch Pro wasn't supposed to be an ultra-portable, and even for 2009, it wasn't especially thin or light relative to the MacBook Air. To this day, I don't think there is a solid replacement for the 12-inch PowerBook G4. The 13-inch MacBook Pro could easily fill this spot, but it just doesn't. Currently, the processors, even as of 2019, are much more limited than the 15-inch version. They still don't have dedicated graphics, and all of the components are soldered to the logic board. In my opinion, the 13-inch MacBook Pro is not really a Pro device that's smaller. It's just an Ultrabook with Pro written on it, and for $2,000. So I guess Little Al isn't just what the MacBook Air should have been, it's what the polycarbonate MacBook should have been, it's what the 13-inch MacBook Pro should have been, and arguably what the 12-inch MacBook should have been. I really hope that Apple will take a lesson from themselves 16 years ago and release a mid-tier Pro laptop with some expansion, portable size, but still packing a powerful punch. The 13-inch MacBook Pro could be the perfect Pro notebook if Apple put their mind to it. Picture this in your mind: a 13-inch MacBook Pro with 6-core i5s and i7s, some form of dedicated graphics, expandable RAM, expandable NVMe drives, with a similar design to what they currently have, but with a keyboard that doesn't break and a display that doesn't fall apart. I mean, what more could you want? That is the perfect all-round Mac Pro notebook. Only time will tell if Apple has the guts to create a machine as well suited to its time as the 12-inch PowerBook G4 was. But until then, this is easily one of the best Apple laptops of all time and deserves a place in everyone's memory. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments below what was the first Apple laptop you ever used or owned. I'm curious to see where everyone falls on this and how many of you started out with the 12-inch PowerBook. Let me know all of that down in the comments below, and as usual, don't forget to follow me on Twitter @Miani, and don't forget to join my subreddit if you have any questions or comments. And with that, I will see you all in the next video.